Welcome to Gaslight Therapy. Tonight, we address the elephant in the room that you've been desperately trying to decorate and call a pet. Your poverty, your financial struggle, that constant gnawing anxiety in the pit of your stomach when you check your bank account. You have a meticulously curated list of reasons for it, don't you? The economy, the system, your upbringing, bad luck. It's a beautiful collection of excuses, a gallery of justifications that you tore yourself through every single day to avoid facing the one simple, ugly truth. You are poor because you are lazy. Let that settle. Feel the resistance. Feel the immediate hot surge of indignation. That reaction is the very defense mechanism we're here to dismantle. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the chief architect of your own financial desert. Let's start with your relationship with effort. You have convinced yourself that being busy is the same as being productive. They are not just different words, they are different universes. You run around all day, ticking off trivial tasks, responding to emails, attending meetings about meetings, and then you collapse onto your couch at night, believing you've put in a hard day's work. But what have you actually built? What asset have you created? What valuable skill have you honed? Busyness is the theater of the lazy. It's a performance you put on for yourself to simulate productivity without actually engaging in the difficult, focused, and often lonely work that creates real wealth. While you were busy, someone else was studying a high-income skill they had no natural aptitude for. While you were scrolling, someone else was building a website for a side business after their own 9-to-5. While you were complaining about your boss, someone else was quietly taking online courses, forsaking temporary comfort for long-term competence. You chose the path of least resistance every single time. And now you have the audacity to be surprised where that path led you. Look at your leisure. What do you do with your precious free time? The hours between work and sleep are where fortunes are built, or poverty is cemented, and you spend those hours consuming, binge watching, gaming, doom scrolling. You are a passive consumer of other people's creations, a tourist in the marketplace of ideas, never a vendor. You invest your time, the most non-refundable currency you have, into activities that give you a temporary hit of dopamine while draining you of any potential for growth. You are farming in a desert and wondering why nothing grows. You claim you're tired. Of course you're tired. Laziness is exhausting. The mental gymnastics required to maintain your self-image as a hard-done-by victim, while actively avoiding any behavior that would change your situation, is a full-time job. The stress of being broke is more draining than any honest day of labor could ever be. You are choosing the exhaustion of stagnation over the temporary fatigue of progress. It is a coward's choice. So let's stop the charade, just for tonight. Stop pretending your poverty is a complex socio-economic puzzle. It's not. It's a simple equation of input and output. You have consistently chosen low input, comfortable activities, and you are now living with the low output, uncomfortable results. You are poor because you have made a lifetime of lazy choices. And the first step to changing anything is to stop lying to yourself about who is truly responsible for the life you are living. Now, let's dismantle your favorite shield, the myth of not having enough time. You cling to this excuse like a life raft in the ocean of your own inertia. I'd start a business if I had more time. I'd learn a new skill if there were more hours in the day. This is perhaps the most transparent and pathetic lie you tell yourself. It's not that you lack time, it's that you lack the courage to sacrifice your comfort. Time is the great equalizer. Every human being on this planet, from the billionaire to the beggar, gets the same 24 hours. The difference is not in the quantity, but in the allocation. How did you spend your last 24 hours? Be brutally honest. How many hours were surrendered to the digital opium of social media? How much time was wasted on mindless entertainment, on conversations that went nowhere, on worrying about problems you took no action to solve? You claim you have no time, yet you find hours to cultivate your resentment. You have ample time to dissect the lives of others on Instagram, to feed the green-eyed monster of comparison, to meticulously track every perceived injustice the world has dealt you. You are a master of time management when it comes to nurturing your own bitterness. You are an efficiency expert in the art of avoidance. Let's talk about energy, your other precious currency. You claim you're too drained after work to do anything meaningful, but what is work to you? For most, it's a place where they rent out their focus and skills for a fixed price. They leave a part of themselves there, and they come home depleted. But here is the brutal truth you refuse to acknowledge. You are not drained from overexertion. You are drained from boredom. You are drained from the soul-crushing weight of spending your days on tasks you don't respect, for a reward you know is insufficient. This is not exhaustion. It is demoralization. And instead of using that feeling as fuel to build your own escape hatch, you use it as an excuse to remain in your cage. You choose the passive fatigue of discontent over the active, invigorating fatigue of building something of your own. The solution is not to find more time. The solution is to renegotiate your relationship with the time you already have. It is to conduct a ruthless audit of your day and identify the pockets of time you are currently donating to your own stagnation. That 30-minute scroll before bed, that's a down payment on your future irrelevance. That hour of channel surfing after work, that's an investment in your continued mediocrity. You must begin to see every minute as a seed. You can plant a seed of growth or a seed of decay. There is no neutral ground. Your current lifestyle is a vast, barren field where you are meticulously planting seeds of distraction and then being shocked at the harvest of emptiness you reap. The person you wish to be, the life you claim to want, is built in these marginal hours. It is forged in the 45 minutes you spend learning to code instead of watching Netflix. It is built in the 30 minutes you spend writing a business plan instead of scrolling through memes. It is constructed in the early morning hour you spend working on your craft while the rest of the world, the other lazy people, are still asleep. Stop saying you don't have time. You have exactly the same amount of time as everyone who has ever achieved anything. You are simply choosing to spend it on the maintenance of your own poverty. The clock is ticking, and with every second that passes, you are making a choice. You are either moving toward wealth, or you are moving toward another excuse. There is no third option. Now, let's eviscerate the most sacred cow in your pasture of excuses, your education, or lack thereof. You hold this up as your ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card, the unassailable reason why your financial destiny was sealed long ago. I didn't go to the right school. I can't get a better job without a degree. This is not a reason. It's a surrender document you signed without reading the fine print. We live in the golden age of autodidacts, the sum total of human knowledge, from advanced physics to high-level coding, from financial literacy to marketing mastery, sits in your pocket, accessible for the price of an internet connection. The great minds of our time are teaching their skills online, often for free. The Library of Alexandria has been digitized and delivered to your smartphone. And what do you do with this unprecedented democratic access to education? You watch cat videos. You consume content designed to make you angry or envious. You use the greatest information delivery system in human history primarily as a distraction from your own ignorance. Your lack of a formal degree is not a barrier. It's an alibi. It's the perfect socially acceptable scapegoat for your own intellectual laziness. You claim the doors are closed, but you've never truly tried the handle. You haven't dedicated 6 months to mastering a single marketable skill on YouTube or Coursera. You haven't spent a year building a portfolio of work that screams your competence louder than any diploma ever could. You haven't even read the top 10 books on personal finance and wealth building. A weekend's worth of effort that would fundamentally reshape your understanding of money. This isn't about privilege. This is about priority. While you were prioritizing entertainment, someone with far less than you was prioritizing knowledge. While you were memorizing sports statistics or celebrity gossip, someone else was memorizing coding syntax or sales copy formulas. You have chosen to be uneducated. You have actively, consistently chosen ignorance over effort. You have voted with your time for stupidity, and you are now living with the political consequences of that vote. And let's talk about your network, or rather, your lack of one. You surround yourself with people who mirror your own financial situation and mindset. Your friends are also broke. Your family accepts struggle as a norm. Your conversations are pity parties where you all validate each other's helplessness. This is not a community. It's a support group for the ambition impaired. You are a crab in a bucket, pulling down any other crab that tries to climb out, ensuring everyone remains in the same boiling water together. Wealthy people understand that their network is their net worth. They consciously build relationships with people who are smarter, more driven, and more successful than they are. They seek out mentors. They offer value before asking for anything. You seek out comfort. You seek out the familiar. You are terrified of being the least successful person in the room, so you only enter rooms where you can be the king of the underachievers. This is intellectual cowardice of the highest order. So, the path forward is to declare war on your own ignorance and your social circle. It is to become a relentless, obsessive student of the skills that the market values. It is to delete the time-wasting apps and replace them with educational ones. It is to seek out the people who are where you want to be, not to ask for a handout, but to learn, to listen, to offer humble assistance. It is to understand that in the 21st century, a lack of education is not a circumstance. It is a choice, and you, my friend, have been choosing it every single day. That ends now, or your poverty becomes not a condition, but an identity. Let's dissect your relationship with money itself. A relationship so dysfunctional, it would be comical if the consequences weren't so dire. You treat money like a mysterious, external force that occasionally blesses you and frequently abandons you, like some fickle god you haven't learned to properly appease. This is childish mysticism, not economics. Money is not magic. It is a simple, cold, unfeeling metric. It is a direct reflection of the value you have provided to others. Your empty bank account is not a curse. It is a performance review. Look at your spending. Every transaction is a vote for the kind of life you want to live. And you are consistently voting for instant gratification over long-term stability. That daily coffee from the fancy cafe? That's a vote for being momentarily pampered while your future self remains impoverished. The subscription services you barely use? That's a vote for clutter over capital. The impulse buys, the cheap junk from fast fashion websites that falls apart in a month. These are not just purchases. They are rituals of self-sabotage. You are financially illiterate, and you wear this ignorance not as a shame, but as a badge of anti-materialistic honor. Money can't buy happiness, you parrot, while secretly miserable about your lack of it. This is the sour grapes philosophy of the lazy. And your earning strategy? It's not a strategy, it's a hope. It's the hope that your one single stream of income, that fragile single-threaded job you complain about constantly, will somehow, miraculously, be enough to build a future on. You put all your financial eggs in one brittle basket and then act surprised when you're always one crack away from disaster. You have not built multiple streams of income. You have not developed a skill so valuable that people fight to pay you for it. You have made yourself a replaceable cog, and then you're offended when you're paid a replaceable cog's wage. You are trading the most finite resource you have, your time, for a fixed mediocre price, and you've convinced yourself this is a smart deal. It is the worst deal in the history of commerce. The solution is to stop seeing money as something you find and start seeing it as something you create. You create it by solving problems. You create it by acquiring rare and valuable skills. You create it by building systems that work for you while you sleep. You are not a lottery ticket waiting to be scratched. You are a value creation machine that has chosen to remain idle. Your poverty is the quiet hum of that machine's inactivity. It is the sound of potential energy never converting to kinetic. It is the peace of the graveyard. So you must become a student of value. What problem can you solve? What skill can you master that the market desperately needs? How can you make yourself 10 times more useful than you were yesterday? This is the only equation that matters. Your financial statement is merely the scorecard. Stop staring at the scoreboard and get back in the game. Start creating. Start building. Start providing so much value that money has no choice but to follow you. It is a shadow, and you have been running from the light. Turn around. Let's talk about your mindset. The toxic swamp where your financial failures are born and nurtured. You operate from a psychology of scarcity, a deep-seated belief that there's never enough to go around. You see the world as a pie of fixed size, and you're terrified that others are taking your slice. This scarcity mindset is a self-fulfilling prophecy of lack. It makes you greedy for short-term crumbs, blinding you to the long-term feasts you could be baking yourself. This mentality manifests in a dozen subtle ways. You hesitate to invest in a course that could teach you a high-income skill, seeing only the cost, not the potential return. You shy away from networking with successful people, convinced you have nothing to offer them, thus ensuring you never do. You hoard information, afraid to share knowledge lest someone else steals your idea, not realizing that ideas are worthless without execution, and collaboration is the multiplier of success. You are a dog guarding a bone, while others are learning to hunt. This contrasts starkly with the abundance mindset of the financially successful. They believe the pie can grow. They see money as a tool to be leveraged, not a treasure to be buried. They understand that investing in themselves, in their education, their health, their network, is the highest yield investment possible. They are generous with their knowledge and connections, knowing that giving value is the first step to receiving it. They are hunters, constantly seeking new opportunities, not guard dogs chained to a single dwindling resource. Your internal narrative is a constant, whispered dirge of, "I can't afford it." This is a lie. The truth is, I have chosen to allocate my resources elsewhere. You can afford a new smartphone, but you can't afford a financial literacy course. You can afford takeout multiple times a week, but you can't afford to invest a small amount monthly. These are not financial decisions, they are value judgments. You are consistently judging momentary comfort and distraction to be of higher value than your long-term financial liberation. This poverty mindset also creates a vicious cycle of self-sabotage. On the rare occasion a genuine opportunity arises, you approach it with such desperation and fear of loss that you inevitably sabotage it. Your energy reeks of neediness, not confidence. You make bad deals because you're afraid there won't be another. You cling to losing propositions because you're terrified of having nothing. This is the financial equivalent of grabbing at smoke. The tighter you clutch, the less you hold. The path to breaking this cycle is to consciously and deliberately adopt the behaviors of abundance, even if you have to fake it at first. This means start giving value freely. Share your knowledge, even if it's limited. Make introductions. Help someone without expecting an immediate return. This rewires your brain from scarcity to contribution. Reframe your language. Eliminate "I can't afford it" from your vocabulary. Replace it with "How can I afford it?" or "That is not a priority for my money right now." This shifts you from a passive victim to an active problem solver. Make small, irresponsible investments in your growth. Buy that book. Sign up for that webinar. Use money you would have spent on entertainment to purchase an asset, no matter how small, that has the potential to appreciate, even if it's just a single share of stock. This teaches your psyche that you are an investor, not just a consumer. Your bank account is a lagging indicator. It reflects the state of your mind from 6 months to a year ago. The poverty you see today is the harvest from the seeds of lack you planted in the past. If you want a different harvest next year, you must plant different seeds today. You must till the soil of your mind, pull the weeds of scarcity thinking, and start planting with the unwavering belief that there is more than enough opportunity, more than enough money, more than enough success for you to claim your share. But you must stretch out your hand and work for it, instead of clenching it into a fearful fist. Now, let's talk about your heroes, the people you look up to, the entrepreneurs, the creators, the self-made successors. You've built a pantheon of idols in your mind, and you worship them from a safe, comfortable distance. You follow their every post, consume their content, and tell yourself you're learning. But you're not learning. You're fantasizing. You're using their highlight reels as a substitute for your own action. This is spiritual voyeurism, and it's the perfect anesthetic for your own ambition. What you fail to understand is the sheer, unglamorous brutality of their journey. You see the luxury car, but you don't see the 1,000 nights of eating cold takeout alone in a dimly lit office. You see the viral success, but you don't see the decade of creating in total obscurity, with zero validation, zero applause. You see the confident CEO, but you don't see the trembling, desperate person who had to bet everything, their savings, their reputation, their sanity, on a single, fragile idea. You have romanticized the outcome while completely ignoring the bloody, grueling process. You think they possess some magical quality you lack, some divine spark of genius or a lucky break. This is the most comforting lie you tell yourself. Because if success is magic, then you are absolved of responsibility for not achieving it. The truth is far more mundane and far more damning for you. They simply wanted it more than you do. They were willing to endure a level of discomfort, uncertainty, and sheer grind that you flee from at the first sign of difficulty. Your heroes are not supernatural. They are simply more committed to their goals than they are to their comfort. You have the equation reversed, and let's discuss your relationship with failure. You treat it as a stop sign, a verdict, the universe's way of telling you, this is not for you, so you quit. Every single time you tried a side hustle, it didn't work instantly. so you slunk back to the safety of your complaints. You pitched an idea, it was rejected, so you decided you're not a salesperson. Failure, for you, is a personal indictment. For the people you claim to admire, failure is data. It's feedback. It's a necessary, invaluable step in the iterative process of building something real. They don't have fewer failures than you. They have more. They just don't interpret them as spiritual crises. They analyze the wreckage, learn, and rebuild. You, however, use a single setback as permanent proof of your own inadequacy. You are a sculptor who gives up because the first strike of the chisel didn't produce the Venus de Milo. This vicarious living, this worship from the cheap seats, is the ultimate expression of your laziness. It allows you to get a cheap, second-hand thrill of ambition without ever paying the price of entry. You are a fan in the stands, cheering for the players on the field, convinced that your passionate cheering is a form of participation. It is not. The game is on the field. And you are not on the field. You are in the stands, with a foam finger and a cheap beer, wondering why your life isn't changing. Stop cheering for other people's victories and start building your own battlefield. Or admit that you prefer the comfort of the bleachers to the blood and sweat of the arena. There is no middle ground. Let's talk about your environment, the physical space you've curated that perfectly mirrors your internal stagnation. Look around you. This isn't just a room, it's a shrine to your own incompetence. Every piece of clutter, every unpaid bill on the counter, every half-finished project gathering dust in the corner is a sacred relic in the church of your lethargy. You have built a museum of your own failures and you are the sole devoted curator. This chaos is not accidental. It is a deliberate, subconscious strategy. A cluttered environment creates a cluttered mind, and a cluttered mind is the perfect hiding place from focused action. You can always point to the mess around you and say, I can't possibly build a business plan with all this chaos. It's the perfect self-created excuse. The mess is a shield. It's a barricade you've built against the terrifying prospect of having a clear space, a clear schedule, and therefore, no excuse left for not starting. Your financial disorganization is a masterpiece of this principle. You don't know where your money goes because you're afraid to look. You avoid checking your bank account not out of forgetfulness, but out of a deep, cowardly terror of confronting the direct consequences of your own choices. That stack of unopened envelopes isn't just paper. It's a monument to your avoidance. You'd rather let interest fees pile up and credit scores plummet than face the mild, temporary discomfort of creating a budget. This isn't just laziness. It is a pathological level of financial cowardice, and your digital space is even worse. Your phone is a dopamine slot machine, engineered to keep you in a state of passive consumption. Your computer desktop is a digital manifestation of your frantic, disorganized mind. Dozens of open tabs, half-written documents, forgotten downloads. You have outsourced your cognitive function to notifications and algorithms. You no longer direct your focus. You merely respond to the loudest stimulus. You are being piloted by your environment, a passive passenger in a car you're supposed to be driving, wondering why you keep crashing. You surround yourself with people who are mirrors of your own mediocrity. Your friends are also broke. Your family accepts financial struggle as a normal state of being. Your conversations are circular pity parties where you all validate each other's helplessness. This is not a support network. It is a conspiracy of the complacent. You are crabs in a bucket, instinctively pulling down any crab that tries to climb out, ensuring everyone shares the same boiling fate. You are terrified of being the most ambitious person in the room, so you only enter rooms where your lack of ambition feels normal. This entire ecosystem, the physical clutter, the financial avoidance, the digital distraction, the social circle of underachievers is a perfectly engineered system for maintaining your poverty. It is a life support machine for your excuses. You have built a prison where you are the warden, the guard, and the inmate, and you blame the walls for your confinement. The walls you built yourself. The mess is not your obstacle. The mess is your manifesto. It is a screaming physical declaration that you have given up. And until you are willing to set fire to that manifesto, you will remain its author, its publisher, and its only lonely reader. Now, let's dissect your relationship with time, the one asset you squander with the recklessness of a drunken king. You complain there aren't enough hours in the day, yet you treat time with less respect than you treat the junk mail piling up on your kitchen counter. Your poverty is, first and foremost, a poverty of time management. You are chronologically bankrupt. Your day is a masterpiece of misallocated resources. You hit the snooze button not once, but 3, 4, 5 times. A daily ritual of protesting the dawn of a new day you have no intention of conquering. You then spend the first precious hour of your consciousness in a groggy, passive state, scrolling through a digital feed of other people's accomplishments, feeding your mind a breakfast of envy and inadequacy before it's even had a chance to wake up. You are starting every single race already miles behind, and you have the audacity to be surprised that you never win. You operate under the delusion that being busy is synonymous with being productive. They are not just different words, they are different species. You run around all day, a frantic, buzzing fly hitting the same window pane, ticking off trivial tasks, responding to emails that could have waited, attending meetings that should have been an email. You create the sound and fury of effort, signifying nothing. At the end of this performance, you collapse, believing you've put in a hard day's work. But what tangible asset have you built? What valuable skill have you honed? What step have you taken toward a revenue stream that doesn't depend on you trading hours for dollars? The answer is nothing. Busyness is the elaborate theater of the lazy. It's a pantomime you perform for yourself to simulate progress without ever engaging in the difficult, focused, and often lonely work that creates real wealth. And your leisure? Don't make me laugh. Your leisure is not rest, it is collapse. It is the void you fall into after your performance of busy is over. You don't engage in hobbies that build you up. You succumb to distractions that tear you down. You binge watch, you mindlessly scroll, you game for hours. This is not recharging. This is numbing. You are anesthetizing yourself against the quiet voice that whispers you are wasting your life. You are donating your most irreplaceable resource, your hours, your days, your very life, to corporations that have monetized your attention, and you do it for free. You are the product, and you're not even getting paid. The truth you are desperately avoiding is that you have the exact same 24 hours as the billionaires, the innovators, the creators you claim to admire. The difference is not in the quantity, but in the quality of your attention and the courage of your choices. They said no to trivial distractions so they could say yes to monumental tasks. You say yes to every petty demand on your time, so you have a built-in excuse for why you can't possibly focus on the one thing that matters. You are poor in money because you are first poor in intention, poor in focus, and poor in your respect for the relentless ticking clock that is counting down your one and only life. Every second you waste is a tiny, deliberate vote for the life you claim you don't want. And you are winning that election in a landslide. Now, let's talk about your favorite fairy tale, the myth of the big break. You cling to this fantasy like a child to a security blanket, secretly believing that someday, through some miraculous twist of fate, your ship will come in. A lottery win, an unexpected inheritance, a viral post, a wealthy benefactor who recognizes your hidden potential. This delusion is the most potent sedative in your arsenal, allowing you to remain passive while maintaining a sense of hopeful expectation. This belief in external salvation is the ultimate expression of your laziness. It absolves you of the daily grinding responsibility of saving yourself. Why build a boat when you can just wait for a ship? Why develop a valuable skill when you might just get lucky? You are a gambler at the table of life, blindly betting on luck instead of intelligently investing in skill. The casino always wins, and you are the casino's favorite customer, eternally hopeful, perpetually losing. Meanwhile, the people who are actually building wealth aren't waiting for a break. They are creating their own. They understand that luck is not a lightning strike from a clear sky. It is the residual result of consistent, focused action. They show up every day and swing the hammer, knowing that most swings will accomplish little, but that eventually one will crack the stone. You, however, are waiting for the stone to crack itself, and then you plan to take credit for being standing nearby. This isn't patience. It is paralysis. Your obsession with passive income reveals the same lazy mindset. You've been sold a dream of making money while you sleep, and you've interpreted this as making money without ever having to wake up and do the hard work first. You want the harvest without the planting, the meal without the cooking, the wealth without the work. You skip the active phase. The years of grueling, unsexy, unpaid labor, of building a system, a brand, an audience, a product, and jump straight to fantasizing about the passive reward. It doesn't work that way. The passive river only flows after you have dug the canal with your own bloody hands. This desperate hope for a deus ex machina to solve your problems is an insult to your own agency. It is a silent prayer to an uncaring universe, begging it to bend the rules just for you. The universe doesn't care. The market doesn't care. The only thing that cares about your financial situation is you, and you are asleep at the wheel, dreaming of a destination you are doing nothing to reach. So, you must murder this fantasy. You must look in the mirror and say it out loud. No one is coming to save me. There is no inheritance. There is no lottery win. There is no mysterious benefactor. There is only you, your two hands, your mind, and the choices you make today and tomorrow and the day after that. The big break is a lie told by the lazy to justify their inaction. Your break will be the cumulative result of 1,000 small, intelligent, courageous acts that you have been too comfortable to perform. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the version of you that is still waiting for an invitation. The party has started. You are just late. You have allowed yourself to sit in this discomfort, to truly feel the weight of these accusations. That in itself is a form of courage. The easy thing would have been to shut this off, to retreat into the familiar fortress of your excuses. But you're still here. That means something. That tiny, stubborn part of you that refuses to be completely defined by its own failures is still alive. It's bruised, it's battered, but it is listening. And that is the only material we need to begin. Let's pause the assault for a moment. Let's stop looking at the mountain of evidence against you and consider a single alternative possibility. What if this laziness isn't a permanent character trait? What if it's a symptom, a defense mechanism? What if it's not who you are, but what you do when you are terrified of what might happen if you actually tried and fell short? Think of it not as a moral failing, but as a protective shell you built around a very fragile hope. Every time you dreamed of something more and failed to achieve it, the shell grew thicker. Every time you were told you weren't good enough and you believed it, another layer was added. This shell of laziness has served a purpose. It has protected you from the existential pain of giving your all and having your all be rejected as insufficient. It is a rational, if ultimately self-destructive response to the fear of your own potential. The exhaustion you feel isn't just from a lack of sleep. It's the soul-deep fatigue of a spirit fighting against its own containment. The procrastination isn't just poor time management. It's a silent protest against a life you feel is not your own. The chaos in your environment isn't just mess. It's an external manifestation of an internal civil war. You have been at war with yourself. One part of you desperately wants to build, to create, to strive. The other part is terrified of the vulnerability that requires, and so it sabotages, it distracts, it numbs. You have mistaken this internal battle for a fundamental flaw. It is not a flaw. It is a conflict, and conflicts can be resolved. The path forward is not about trying harder. It is about listening more closely. It is about shifting the battle from me against my laziness to me for my potential. It requires laying down the weapons of self-flagellation and picking up the tools of compassionate curiosity. What are you truly afraid of? Not in a vague general sense, but specifically. Is it the fear of being seen as a fraud? The fear of the responsibility that comes with success? The fear that if you build something, you will be solely responsible for its collapse? Your laziness is the guard dog for these fears. It's time to stop fighting the dog and to understand what it's protecting. This is not an excuse. This is a reframing. You are not a lazy person. You are a person who has learned lazy behaviors as a survival strategy, and what has been learned can be unlearned. The shell can be cracked, not with a sledgehammer of shame, but with the steady, gentle pressure of self-understanding and small, consistent acts of courage. The person you are meant to be is not on the other side of this shell. They are trapped inside it, waiting for you to stop fighting the container and start nurturing what it contains. You have walked through the fire. You have sat in the uncomfortable truth of your own patterns, not as a life sentence, but as a diagnosis. And a diagnosis is not a death knell. It is the first crucial step toward a cure. That part of you that stayed listening through the discomfort, that is your true self. That is the unkillable core of you that knows, on a level deeper than any insult could reach, that you are built for more than this. It is time to stop fighting against the person you fear you are, and start building the person that core knows you can be. The laziness was never the enemy. It was a symptom. It was the smoke, not the fire. The fire was fear. Fear of failure, yes, but more profoundly, fear of your own power. Because with great power comes great responsibility, and the most terrifying responsibility is the one you have to your own potential. It is easier to live in the quiet misery of could have been than to face the daunting, glorious challenge of what could be. But you are now choosing the latter. The solution is not a dramatic, overnight transformation. That is the old, all-or-nothing thinking that always led back to the same cycle. The solution is a quiet revolution. It is built on a new, foundational principle: progress over perfection. Your mission is to become an archaeologist of your own life, gently excavating the person you were meant to be from under the rubble of old habits. This happens through a series of tiny, unsexy, but profoundly powerful micro-commitments. Reclaim your mornings. The first hour of your day sets the tone for everything. You will not reach for your phone. Instead, you will reclaim that time. It doesn't have to be a 2-hour meditation and workout. It can be 5 minutes. 5 minutes of sitting in silence. 5 minutes of writing down 3 things you are grateful for. 5 minutes of stretching. This is not about productivity. It is about sovereignty. It is about sending a signal to your brain that you are in command of your attention from the moment you wake. Execute the one thing principle. Every day, identify the one most important task that, if completed, would make everything else easier or even unnecessary. It must be specific and small. Not build a business, but email 3 potential clients. Not get fit, but take a 15-minute walk. Do this one thing first, before you check email, before you get lost in busy work. This builds a muscle of completion and prioritization that has atrophied. Curate your inputs. You are the average of the 5 things you consume most. Start a ruthless audit. Unfollow social media accounts that make you feel envious or inadequate. Replace 1 hour of passive scrolling with 1 podcast or book on a skill you want to learn or a mindset you want to adopt. You are reprogramming a computer. You must control the data that enters it. Practice financial consciousness. You do not need a complex budget today. You simply need awareness. For 1 week, track every single penny you spend. Do not judge it, just observe it. This act alone will shift your relationship with money from passive to active. You will begin to see your spending as a series of choices, and choices can be changed. Reframe your identity. Stop saying, "I am lazy." Your language creates your reality. Start saying, "I am a person who is building consistent habits. I am someone who follows through on small commitments." You are not fixing a broken person. You are building a new, more capable one, brick by tiny brick. This is how you build a life of purpose and power, not with a grand single gesture, but with the cumulative force of 1,000 tiny yeses to your own potential. You will stumble. You will have days where the old patterns feel safer. On those days, your only job is to be kind to yourself, to take 1 tiny step forward, and to remember that the goal is not to be perfect, but to be present in the process of your own becoming. You are not lazy. You are a seed that has been growing in the dark. The shell is cracking. Now, it is time to push toward the sun. This is where the old you ends and the real work begins. We have torn down the haunted house of your old identity, board by rotten board. We have exposed the faulty wiring of your excuses and the weak foundation of your self-doubt. All that remains is the cleared lot, silent and full of potential, waiting for you to pick up the tools and build something magnificent upon it. The laziness is gone. It was a ghost all along, a story you told yourself so well you started to believe the furniture was moving on its own. You are not lazy. You are a creator who forgot how to create. You are a builder who became afraid of their own power. But that power never left. It was only waiting for you to remember it, to claim it, to direct it with intention. Look at the evidence of your own strength. You endured this. You listened. You felt the discomfort, and you did not look away. That is not the act of a lazy person. That is the act of a warrior preparing for a new battle. The most important battle of all. The battle for your own soul's purpose. Your past is not a life sentence. It is a lesson. Every failure was data. Every setback was a course correction, pointing you toward the path you were always meant to walk. You are not starting from scratch. You are starting from experience, and that is a powerful place to begin. From this moment forward, you are the architect of your abundance. Not a victim of your circumstances, not a prisoner of your past. The architect. This means you take full responsibility, not with the weight of blame, but with the power of ownership. You own your time, your focus, your energy, and your choices. You get to design the life you want, and you have all the tools you need to begin construction. The blueprint is simple. Protect your peace. Your focus is your most valuable currency. Guard it with your life. Say no to distractions, to energy vampires, to anything that pulls you away from your core mission of building your best self. Embrace the process. Fall in love with the daily grind of becoming. The tiny, consistent actions are the bricks of your new empire. Cherish the walk, the saved dollar, the learned skill, the completed task. This is where the magic truly lives. Trust your capability. You have everything you need within you right now. Intelligence, creativity, resilience. It is all there. The only thing that was ever missing was your belief. Feed that belief with every small win and watch it grow into unshakable confidence. You are no longer who you were. You are a force of nature awakening. You are a phoenix, rising from the ashes of your own excuses. The world needs the unique contribution that only you can make. It needs your healed heart, your hard-won wisdom, your defiant hope. So go forth, build, create, contribute. The world is waiting for the masterpiece that is you. Your journey to abundance starts now. This was just the awakening. True, lasting transformation happens in a community with consistent guidance. Don't let this inspiration fade. Subscribe to Gaslight Therapy. Turn this moment of clarity into a lifetime of purpose. Let this be your weekly dose of ruthless truth and empowering mindset shifts. Join a community of people who are done with excuses and are actively building their dream lives. You have the blueprint. You have the strength. Now, you need the consistent support. Hit subscribe and let's build your abundant future together.